Spike Lee's new film, Da 5 Bloods, has just been released on Netflix. It follows these four men who are going back to Vietnam. They fought in Vietnam. They were all black, so the film is very much about that kind of what it was that black men gave in the Vietnam War, and how they were kind of disproportionately kind of made up the numbers when you look at the soldiers who went to fight in that war. And yeah, they lost their captain. Captain died while they were out there, and they weren't able to bring the body back. And they're now, all these years later, going back to retrieve the body. But they're also going to retrieve the gold that they discovered there or know that exists there because of a plane that went down taking this gold. Either way, gold and a body, they're going to go and retrieve it. Now, the film it's really all about the relationships between these four men, how it relates to their captain that they lost, and what the war has done to them in the intervening years. What has it made them into, and can their brotherhood survive the trials and tribulations that they're about to go through by going back to this place that was previously a hell for them. Like all Spike Lee films, this is a very politically driven movie. It's a made-up film. It's not based on a true story, but Lee does bring elements of reality into it. So there are many times where real-life people are referenced, and statistics and various things are brought up that kind of shows the impact that was made in the Vietnam War and in the fight and this, that and the other through the African American. And ultimately the loss that was made there, because obviously the Vietnam War is a war that wasn't won, not by the Americans anyway. So it's a war that they lost heavily in. But those losses are mostly black. When you look at the statistics, statistically, given how many white people there are in America, how many black people there are in America, and you compare that to how many white people went to fight in Vietnam and died, compared to how many black people were on the front lines and died, it's very disproportionate, and it's in this current climate that we're going through right now, it's very interesting to see just how far we've not come. We're no different, basically. We've civilized certain aspects of racism, made it seem more palatable, but actually at the end of the day, we've not really changed. And that's essentially what this film highlights. Lee certainly doesn't try to position his main characters as anything that is holier than thou, though. These are definitely flawed men. These are individuals who have done some things that they're not proud of, and it shaped them into men who have anger and issues to deal with. You've got one character who, while he was out in Vietnam, obviously slept with a hooker. That hooker now has a grown-up child, a young woman who is his daughter that he didn't even know about. And so there's certainly a lot of morally muddy waters there. You've got this character played by Delroy Lindo, who is probably the standout for me in the film, and he's very psychologically scarred. There is a secret that he's keeping, that he's been wrestling with for years and years and years, and has never been able to kind of come to terms with and grapple with. And this trip for him is probably the most personal, and when he goes back there, he's able to essentially wrestle with his demons and in some way find a level of forgiveness. It is a film that just shows you the immorality of the Vietnam War from a political perspective, and the soldiers that were on the front lines essentially being the cannon fodder of men higher up making decisions that really shouldn't have been made. So I like this core group of characters. There's actually 5, really, not just 4, because one of them is the son of Delroy Lindo's character, and the two of them have a very fractured relationship due to something that happened many years prior. It puts Lindo's character in a very aggressive state of mind towards his son. He finds it hard to love his son, or to certainly show that love at any rate. but the son is always chasing it nonetheless, and it's kind of the main reason he's come along on this journey, is to really bond with his father. Going for the gold being more or less an excuse to do that. But yeah, I think their relationship is kind of the core of the movie in many ways. The relationships across the board with these five men are really the most entertaining aspect of the movie. They feel like real people. They feel like they have, lived this history together with each other, and a lot of what they say is funny, it's quite amusing. A lot of what they say isn't, and that's life. When you get a bunch of guys together with their own history, you're going to get that. There are going to be times where they push your buttons. There are going to be times where you can root for them, and there are going to be times when you can't. So yeah, I like this core group of characters. There's some shocks along the way. Things happen that you don't quite expect. The tone of the movie shifts in places. I think that certainly the last acts of the film, or the last third of the film, kind of becomes something I didn't expect, which is this like action movie. I really did think this was going to be more just a character-driven piece about these guys going out to find their captain and bonding and falling out and getting back together. But yeah, it does take a bit of a darker turn in the last third, and then goes into an action movie overdrive, which I wasn't expecting. Although the references to Rambo towards the beginning of the film should have probably clued me into that. It's kind of mildly amusing, but no, the important thing is that I like these characters. I'm with them for the ride, and not all of them get out alive, and I'm quite saddened by that during the relevant moments. Lindo, I think, gives the best performance. There's certain monologues he has in this where he's talking directly to camera, and it's kind of like he's really talking to the ghosts of his past, but we become the ghosts of his past as a result of him talking through the lens. Almost becomes like a confessional in that regard. We kind of get a clue into the rather broken, fractured mind of this guy as he starts to just spew all this stuff out at us. We get some flashbacks as well, where we see kind of what happened with the captain, and each time we go back there, the screen changes the aspect ratio. It becomes differentiates the period and things. But one of the interesting things that I found was how Spike Lee doesn't use younger actors for the main leads. So when we go back in history, we get the young captain played by Chadwick Boseman, but our main guys, the other four, are still the same age they are in the present, which I kind of liked that move. It threw me off a little bit at first. I was like, well, what's going on there? But then actually, it's a film about memory in many ways. And when you look back on your past, you put yourself in your former body, so to speak. You can't revert. You can't go back to your younger self's mind state, so to speak. And I don't know about you, but when I think of myself in the past, I'm taking what I have now up here to that past, and you can never look at it through the same eyes in that regard. And I think that's what this doing it this way does. It keys us into the way we operate with memory. These guys are looking at these memories, but they're looking at them through they're reliving them, so to speak, through who they are now as people. And beyond that, it does it also clues us in to who everyone is without having to cast younger people and then tell us who each one is. You don't need to do that. You can get around it by just saying, well, they're there. You know who these guys are. You've seen them already. Boom. But no, I think it also says something about memory and the way we view the past. Long-time Spike Lee composer Terence Blanchard is back for more with this one. I'm not overly keen on his score for this one. I think he did some incredible work in Black Klansman. There's certainly a track on that score that kicks a lot of ass. Again, I've only seen this film once. Maybe if I go and listen to the score on its own, I might get something out of it. But here sometimes it just, I noticed it and when I did notice it, I wasn't overly enjoying it. But beyond that, yeah, what can I say? It's a solid film. I would say I wouldn't say it's top tier Spike Lee. Definitely not his best, but it's a 4-star film for me, and I would highly recommend it. I think it's definitely worth checking out on Netflix. Which, you know, if you've got Netflix, definitely do that. I think don't be put off by the political aspect if that's something that doesn't kind of grab you, because at the end of the day, that it's more about these characters. It's more about the journey they go on, the brotherhood that they share, and the demons from the past that they have to confront. So, yeah, good character-driven piece from a director that is on the top of his game at the moment. Like I say, again, they ain't up there with BlacKkKlansman for me, but that for me was, yeah, my favourite Spike Lee movie. So, yeah, check it out. 4 out of 5 from me. But what about you? If you have seen this film already, do let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below. Thanks for watching this review, and until next time, cracking.